Did I tell you what Harry Potter said when he was filling up his car? I told you that, didn't I?
No.
I didn't? I didn't tell you what Harry Potter says when he fills up his car?
No, what?
Expensive petroleum! Come on, that's good. You're the reason Trump won.
Juice!
And welcome back to our Stupid Rex of Corbin.
Rick.
You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Juicy Content. Thank you. You folks on Patreon.
I want that shirt. I want that shirt. I'm the reason Trump won. You know what kind of looks I'd get. I want that shirt.
No.
I'm the reason Trump won.
Today, we get this is a
because it was that close. It came down to one vote. Mine
in California.
My vote.
Kamal Haasan, the nostalgic revisit to 61 years of
Ulaganayagan
in Indian cinema. This is kind of almost a tribute and, to the legend that is.
As one of the crowning legends of Indian cinema reaches 61 years of being in it, here's an opportune moment to look at what has made Kamal Haasan, well, Kamal Haasan, or as he is fondly referred to being, Ulaganayagan.
Oh yeah, I'll never remember that.
Ulaganayagan.
I call him Kamali. I know Kamali. Got to meet him. We'd love to talk to him. Thankful we got the chance to meet him.
Ulaganayagan.
As already well known, it began with this little kid of 3 who portrayed such variety of emotions in his very first film as a child actor. The fact that even at that age, he could bring in such a range of expressions on his little face
wonderful.
with those big
Little baby
eyes,
Kamal.
a performance that got him his first national award.
At 3?
Looking at it now feels like that was the beginning of a glorious destiny. Several years later, you saw him again on screen as a teenager. Talented actor again, not a big name as such, but just one among many without any particular spotlight on him. Did you see him then and go, hey, this one's pretty talented, not sure who that is, but
those eyes
can go places. So when did you become a Kamal Haasan fan? Were you the one who suddenly discovered him with his super success as what they call a hero and went like, this guy acts, fights his own fights, dances charmed by the romantic hero or rooting for the guy whose love met a tragic end once, then again and again. Feels like being emotionally blackmailed, but hey, he did make you feel for him, didn't he? By now, you know this guy dances well. I mean, pretty well. You think you've seen all of it, but then comes another performance that cannot be redone because no superstar can simply match him when it comes to doing all these different forms of classical dance. He moves like no one ever before, not quite as effortlessly. The personal journey of the Bharatanatyam dancer who quit everything for his dance training finally seems to have got its due. What about, say, Kamal 2.0? Seeing him portray the grey shades of a man who was a dawn for many, savior for others. Perhaps a god-devil paradox, something that we will see in his characters later very often, especially with the ones he writes. He does a much-loved silent film in the times when bringing up the idea of making one would make people go, are you guys teleported or something? Dude, we have talkies and color films. What is the point of doing this now? But of course, the film is made and the novel approach pays off.
That's a good
the
one.
novelty is still widely talked about. Then he reappears as the kind of hero we have truly never seen before. the adorable little Appu. Literally little. The man who is made vengeful by painful rejection and knowing how he came to be. I mean, no offense to Raja, great guy, but we can all agree Appu stole the show and remains the most loved dwarf hero to date. No, I'm not bragging.
I don't know.
That's just, well, stating a plain fact. To anyone who at that time thought, hey, this guy played two characters, one of them was a dwarf, he did it brilliantly, how better can it get from here? Well, were you prepared to see him play 4 characters in a comedy that would have its own cult following? Then an emotionally and mentally sort of stunted protagonist in another drama that gets again its own cult following? What about another reference to The Godfather, where perhaps his skill and acclaim as the writer takes over his recognition as the hero of the film? That is a pretty epic feat for someone who has done so much already as a superstar actor. Let's get to a single moment that speaks for itself. A father who, after long separation from his children, goes out looking for them, then discovers his daughter in the most shocking condition that one could not have even imagined. Or when he hears her speak while asleep. More like what he hears her say. Perhaps one of the most heart-aching moments one has ever seen on screen. Did you love him then as the actor, the writer, or both? What about seeing him play a police officer in a film unlike most cop films even now? Or the honest, patriotic, idealistic freedom fighter who you probably couldn't recognize the first time? I mean, this guy is of course Kamal Haasan. Yeah, of course. But is he Kamal Haasan? Is he not? Who is that? Well, looking at the career by now, yeah, that is him. This was immediately followed by playing a father who is pretending to be a middle-aged female caretaker just to be near his child.
Kind of thing.
The look, the mannerisms, the whole effect of the performance was, well, I think if you have a sip of water every time I say, unlike ever before, you'd be very hydrated. So yeah, probably have a sip now. Of course, there's a brilliant Mr. Robin Williams, but to cast your own identity in a character that will be compared to a strong Hollywood reference, he did it once and he did it again. Reaching these supreme heights of stardom, we have a filmmaker who is longing to come out of the shadows. He comes out in a brilliantly led and nuanced semi-fictional portrayal of the times of post-partition. An experiment with the truth of how communal hatred not only marked a violent and bloody beginning of India's independence, but also claimed the life of the father of the nation. It was about that bullet of hatred that did not cease to exist even after that assassination, making this film as relevant now as a film can be.
Yeah.
எல்லாம் சிவமயம் என்று சொல்லிவிட எனக்கு எல்லாம் பயமயம்.
We're going to watch. I talked to Indrani about
After
what we see in the
a comedy
shadows.
that also brings in the plight of Sri Lankan Tamils, the violence that they have endured, you have a film that you can say was truly ahead of its time. Perhaps what makes people appreciate an Alavandan or Abhay now is our access to pop culture elements in the film that are a staple in Hollywood. But before internet familiarized these elements to our masses, there was Alavandan. It existed before a show like Mindhunter popularized the link between a problematic mother figure and psychopathy, and even before you accepted that violence in 2D animation was bad for child psychology but cool as hell to watch. Yes, the God-Devil paradox is also back, and it will be more distinctly popularized here on. You wish to be more hydrated? Maybe consider having a sip of water every time I say cult, because we have come to Panchatantiram and Anbisivam, 2 films that, as millennial lingo articulates, have a separate fan base of their own. Then when he returns as Viramandi, he once again gives a film that will familiarize us with Rashomon effect as a narrative style. the unreliability of what we see as the definite nature of what we call the truth, and present a very thought-provoking take on capital punishment, a rather unpopular stance to take even now.
Yes, Dr. Ambassador, Dr. MBBS.
Of course, then there were much loved performances of the goon turned doctor,
He did
the instinctive
the Tamil
and
version of
suave
MBBS,
police
I guess?
officer, in between
That's
a
what that
black
looked like.
comedy
It sure
that is
did.
unlike escapist ones that we are so used to. It was more grounded and capturing everyday life in its approach. By this time, perhaps our folks probably thought, yeah, this is it. Probably it. I mean, seriously, how can someone push any further? What is he going to do now? Play 10 characters in one movie? So, guess what happened?
He played 10 characters in one
You know
movie.
it. The man wrote a film that talks
I think
about
you're
the
leading us
evolution
on.
and conflict between religion and science, theism and rationalism, mentioning chaos theory, butterfly effect, talking about the stupidity of bio-warfare, or at least even planning for one, while having 10 characters that represent different religions, views, nationalities, socio-political standing, based on the 10
he played George Bush
reincarnation
in it.
of Lord Vishnu. That was the writing part. Then comes playing these 10 characters. Can we speak frankly for a moment and say that that was crazy? Absolutely
lot of people think you look like
batshit
George Bush.
crazy. This
I know,
is
I
as
get
mad
that a
as it
lot.
gets,
It's
folks.
interesting.
Mad in a good way.
I've only ever
you
heard
see?
Indians say that, though.
Yeah.
Then came one film that brought the whole nation together before hooliganism in the name of demanding ban on films got a whole new validation. This is a film that presented a balanced look at terrorism, set on a grand scale, sensitizing viewers about the wrongly stigmatized religious identities, a Muslim man with Kashmir in his name and a terrorist father, easily accepted as a terrorist himself but misunderstood, questioned over his nationality, his patriotism, while fighting those who are brainwashed into committing violence for those seeking more power and control in the name of religion. Thankfully, the layered and nuanced take on terrorism reached one and all after a nationwide support for the art and the artist. Recently, we've had an interesting look at three fathers, different from one another for their struggles are different. One explores themes like mortality, pursuit of art that outlives him, and being accepted by those he had lost in his pursuit of stardom. The second looks to protect his family and go to any extent for it. By the end, even those you root for
Did he
are
do the
stained
Tamil version
and
of
perhaps
Trisham?
emotionally damaged beyond repair. The third father is again an emotionally distant one, having the grey shades we associate with his characters by now, again made vulnerable when confronted with protecting his own. That is some of the work from Kamal Haasan's journey spanning 61 years. Of course, we would have missed talking about certain films, maybe rushed over a few, but the fact that it takes this long to just touch upon his illustrious career is evidence of his longevity as a film artist. So obviously, one video will not suffice for talking about over 200 films. As fans, we have all grown, even evolved, watching him. A lot of us became active film buffs because of him. So here's our naive hope of having more to celebrate and talk about in the coming years. Happy 61 years of Kamalism. Happy 61 years of Kamal Haasan in Indian cinema.
It's not Kamal Haasan. Haasan.
And so we have consistently, we did this with Kajol. For years, we called her Kajol. We've been calling him Kamal Haasan. And
Haasan.
every time she pronounced it, it was
Haasan.
Kamal Haasan.
I'm pretty sure I've heard it pronounced that a lot.
So I want to pronounce his name
I think
the
it's-
way it's supposed to be
I'm
pronounced.
pretty sure it's that.
Kamal Haasan.
Kamal Haasan.
Kamal Haasan. Okay.
Haasan.
Duly noted. Duly noted.
Noted duly.
Yes.
We've actually seen quite a few Kamal Haasan.
We
films.
have.
I think he might be one of the actors that we've seen the most of. He might be.
I think so. Probably if we did a count.
Irfan, Kamal Haasan. SRK, obviously, we've seen a lot of.
Amir Khan.
Amir Khan as well. Big B. But it might be Anupam Kher. Who knows? It might be. He's always supporting, man.
It's true.
He's always supporting. Big B, though, might be it. Who knows? But anyways, how would you rank his talents as an artist? Like,
Ooh, that's a good question.
actor, director, writer, dancer, singer. I guess maybe producer. Would that be
Yeah,
an artist?
but that just means you have to make the right choices and have an eye for artistry, not necessarily have any capacity to express artistry.
Yeah.
So
Because one of his big things is he's always pushed the boundaries.
yeah,
So it's probably actor first, obviously, but director after that, because of what he's a very good director, but also pushing the boundaries as a director.
I'd love to ask him that question. I'd love to ask him which of the disciplines he thinks he's best at, because surely he has a sense of which of them he feels he personally is the most.
No, I bet
Exceptional.
I bet he was like, that's not for me to say.
I don't know. Maybe he might say that. What do you think?
I think his acting.
acting?
Acting's first, but then it's debatable for everything else.
He's writing.
Yeah, his writing, his directing, his singing.
He's dancing.
He's a very good dancer. But I think that has to go along with his acting, because he learns a lot of that dance for his acting.
Yeah.
So it's I mean, obviously it's a different form, but I don't think anybody out there is saying Kamal Haasan's one of the best dancers, and even though he's a very good dancer.
Well, that's the thing, is that some of the things we're really not able to measure it in the same way we can, say, American talents, because, for example, writing, we can appreciate story, but there are nuances of the way lines are written that we just will never get because we do not speak the language.
Yeah.
That the way a line is actually phrased, not just the line.
Mm-hmm.
So, same thing with classical dance. We can know it looks beautiful, but we can't measure how technically proficient the person is when it comes to Eastern styles. I'm far more capable of watching Western styles because A, I've done them, B, I've watched them for so many years. So I would suppose, based on what we've experienced, it's going to be his acting. I agree with you. It's going to be his acting.
I think most people would say that. But it's
The other aspect, though, is his choices. He's such a trailblazer and exactly the kind of artist you want to have doing all the things that he does.
yeah.
Because he does them from a vantage point of, this is the story I want to tell. Everything about him seems to come back to his understanding of theater being storytelling. And that if he has a story to tell, nothing else matters. I'm not interested in what people think about it. I'm not interested in whether people are going to put the money behind it. I'm not interested if this is a trend. I'm not interested if this is going to... I have a story I want to tell, and I want to tell it this way. Most of the time, it's never been done, and I don't care. I'm doing it because I want to do it.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite thing about Kamal.
Yeah.
Kamal Haasan.
Kamal Haasan.
Yeah, Kamal Haasan.
Haasan.
What about you? What do you think is his greatest strength?
Besides his gonads. Do you think he has saggy testicles?
And people wonder why we don't get more interviews.
Come on, someone's just not been returning my calls. I don't know why. He's
Because, Mr. Miles, he's afraid you're going to ask him about his testicles.
Hey, we ask the hard-hitting questions here.
That's right. That's right. So we want to know. Do you wear underwear?
Anyways, let us know what the next Kamal Haasan film should be and any other videos we can react to down below.
Juice!